Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you.
For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just go to getcopperhead.com. That's getcopperhead.com for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Getcopperhead.com.
Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
We want to come down through the trunk, down to the roots, and more so into the soil. So with any chronic condition, the 3 roots that I'm always addressing and teaching people to address are the genes, digestion, and inflammation. Always. Not one of them. It's not one root. It's 3 roots. Genes, digestion, inflammation. Our genes are what we get, but their expression is influenced by how we live. So it's like getting a deck of, you dealt a hand of cards in a game of poker. Yep. How you play that game of poker is going to be different for everybody who gets that hand.
Welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast, where fitness, mindset, and real talk collide. This isn't just about workouts. It's about transforming your body, mind, and life. Get ready for unfiltered conversations, expert advice, and the motivation you need to level up in every way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast. I am Melissa Vogel, your host. Welcome to the show. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. I'm so glad you came back for another incredible episode this summer. And if you are new to the show, I'm so glad that you're here. As always, you guys, make sure you go back and listen to all of the episodes, as many as you can. We are working on bringing back older ones. We had a little bit of issue in transition process, but go back and listen as far as you can, learn more about me, learn more about my journey, my story, why I'm doing this podcast, and then take in all the information from the most incredible guests from all over the world that have been on this show. I love when people find me and they pick up and they just keep listening, but seriously, go back because we have a lot of discount codes. We have really cool products that we tell you about. And you guys, I only talk about the best of the best on this show, and I'll only introduce you to something that I personally love and use as well. So anything you hear me talk about, yes, I use, I love, all of the things. And today, you are going to want to just keep nurturing your body and doing the best that you absolutely can with it after hearing this episode and hearing our guest, who's got just a story that, oh my God, it'll just touch your heart. And it propelled her into doing what she's doing today. So I am excited to talk about that. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer. It is like full blast right now. If you're listening to this somewhat in real time, we are in the middle of the summer, and this is the time to really start thinking about, okay, because we all know we're going to blink and summer's going to be gone, right? Like, boom, gone. We're already in fall. I want everyone to focus on being present, enjoying every moment, being mindful, taking the right steps and actions that you need now so you can be successful later. Don't just live life and just like go and wish it away and wish it away. I want each and every one of you to start thinking about, okay, how do I want to approach this fall? And do I need to start taking action steps now? Now, for me, I'm like, yeah, we don't wait. We don't wait. We start taking action now. So if you want to create change, now is the best time to do it because the waters are never going to part and just have amazing time and energy and everything for you to start on your fitness journey. That's not the way it works. I wish. I want you guys to start taking action now. But if you can't and you're like, God, I just don't know how to do it, maybe you book a call with me. We start talking about how to take action steps and plan for the fall. I have a lot of people doing that right now. We're lining up all of our ducks in a row right now, and we're getting them in place. And then come end of August, September, like boom, we are hitting the ground running. That is what I want for all of you. Okay. So this episode is just going to propel you into wanting more for your life and your health. Andrea, our guest, is absolutely amazing. With that being said, go to the show notes, book a call, send me a DM. And then, the other thing I want to mention to you guys, give us show ideas. Who do you want to see on? What topics do you want us to cover? We've gotten several good ones from all of you, and I love it. And like, we're totally applying it and finding guests, and some of them we've already recorded. So I love it. Keep that coming in. It's melissavogel@gmail.com is the email. ITSMELISSAVOGEL is the best way to get a hold of us. Okay, now for today's show. Andrea Nakayama. Beautiful name. Andrea Nakayama. She is the host of the 15-Minute Matrix podcast and the founder of Functional Nutrition Alliance. Andrea is leading thousands of students and practitioners around the globe in a revolution to offer better solutions to the growing chronic illness epidemic by highlighting the importance of system biology, root cause methodology, and therapeutic partnerships. And she helps historically underserved individuals reclaim their health. I love it. This conversation was so good today, you guys. I learned so much. And this all started after she lost her husband to a brain tumor in 2002. And she discovered a passion for using food as personalized medicine and is now regularly consulted as the nutrition expert for the toughest clinical cases in the practices in many world-renowned doctors. Like, what she does is incredible. And the fact that we got her on this podcast to just have her share some of her knowledge with us for like 30, 40 minutes. We are so blessed. So you guys are going to love this show. Go to the show notes, connect with her, listen to her, follow her, all of the things, and book a call, you guys. If you are ready to take next steps and you're like, God, I hear you, Melissa. I hear this podcast. I listen all the time. I'm just not sure how to do it. Now you have a way, one phone call away, one message away. All right, everyone, enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bomb Life podcast. Today I have Andrea Nakayama on. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm excited to be here with you.
I am so thrilled to have you on. Girl, you have got quite the story, quite the journey, and I love how you've just transformed into that to just helping so many people.
Thank you.
It's been really cool to watch you on social media, and listen to your reels, and I'm like girl fanning.
I'm so touched. Thank you so much. I'm bicep fanning, by the way.
There we go. I would say whatever you just said, say it again. Because
I said it. I'm bicep fanning. So yeah.
Bicep fanning. You're so funny. I love hearing how women take a story of just sadness and it was traumatic and you just become unstoppable. And now you're taking all of that power and the energy and helping everyone, not just women, everyone live their best life ever. I don't know. You just inspired me so much.
Thank
I'm like,
you.
I can't wait to talk to her.
Oh, thank you so much.
So you're also the host of the 15-Minute Matrix podcast, founder of Functional Nutrition Alliance. Girl, when do you sleep?
Yeah, it's a lot. And I'm writing a book and doing some other things as well. But yes, building a big business, which I didn't expect. I'm sort of an accidental entrepreneur, but we can get into that. I know you probably want to explore the story piece. What got me here?
I do. That's always my first question for my guests is like, how did you get here? How did this become what you do and how you focus on? And this takes us back how many years ago?
It's a long time. It's my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor, my late husband, in April of 2000.
2000. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay. So tell us how his brain tumor led to this life you live today.
Yeah. So again, back April of 2000, some time ago, I was working in a completely different industry, but I was already really passionate about food and cooking and health. And I think I was feeling some of what I can now look back on and see was the beginning or the percolating of my own autoimmunity. I have Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism. Autoimmune hypothyroidism. So I was always trying to regulate my own health with food.
Okay.
So I was a dabbler in health and nutrition, but I worked in book publishing. I had a completely different career. We then got pregnant, and my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor out of the blue when we were 7 weeks pregnant. And so that really catapulted us in our early 30s into the medical system in a way that I had never experienced. He had never experienced.
Yeah.
Maybe you went to the doctor for like a broken arm or a sinus infection, but then you're actually in the system. So I was seeing something and witnessing something in addition to the brain tumor and all the diagnostics and treatments, but also seeing how the system deals with chronic health issues and people with chronic health issues. So I started to recognize some of the gaps in the system that we can talk about really early on, where that was kind of a surprise for me. Like, wait a minute, people are treated like their diagnosis. And everybody with the same diagnosis is treated the same. That doesn't make sense. This is my guy. It's my
Right.
man.
Right.
He's Isamu. He's the man. Like, why is he being treated in this way? So that really was a big wake up call for me in terms
Okay.
of how the medical system works. Meanwhile, I really turned our attention to everything I could do to support making a difference in his lifespan. He was given 6 months to live. He
From
lived
the time
almost
he was
Mhm.
diagnosed?
He lived almost 2.5 years. So he was alive to see our son born. He died when our son was 19 months old. I have my kitty here with me. She doesn't want to leave me at the moment.
I love it. It's okay.
So, that time is what I sort of think of as my boot camp in nutrition, because I was looking into what is everything and anything we could do in addition to what he was doing medically. So it took time after Isamu passed away for me to realize this is really my calling. There are a lot of gaps to fill in healthcare, even when we are dealing with a chronic health condition, even when we are embracing the medical model and what we can do there. There's still a lot that can be done. And that's where I started to study and focus my attention.
I got to ask, when he was diagnosed, what was he experiencing that made you even go in and start seeing probably neurologist and then led
That's a
to
great
like,
question.
oh my God,
Yeah.
he's got a brain tumor. Like,
Yeah. And it wasn't even a neurologist. It was right away, very quickly a neuro-oncologist. So it was very sudden. He had a horrible headache. I actually kind of dismissed it at the time because I was having morning sickness, and I was like, you're never sick. You have no pain tolerance. But he had a severe headache, literally led him to fall to his knees and vomit on the sidewalk. And I was like, okay, we got a call. You went to the doctor for a
Yeah.
sinus infection, took some antibiotics. It's not that. And so we spoke to an on-call doctor. She said, if it's like this tomorrow, call again. We're going to get you into the emergency room for a neurological exam. That went right over my head at the time, but I remember her saying it. And the next day we went to the hospital, and from there, he was admitted. They had to figure out what was going on. They found masses on his brain and had to determine what that was, and had a craniotomy, brain surgery. And, then, one thing after the other, 2 years of like endless treatments.
I got to ask, like, as a mom and a female and being pregnant during that time, how did you survive that? Like,
Yeah.
how did you eat? How
Yeah.
did you sleep? How did you get through that? Because I mean, like, my heart just breaks hearing this
Yeah.
story. And I can't even imagine having my firstborn, and being pregnant and growing her and then going through all of this.
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
do that?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that is him. Like it was us in it together. And he really, I do think, gave me the strength and the bubble we created for each other. We had family support and friend support, but it really became our thing. There was so much love and so much attention on, him taking care of me in my pregnancy, me taking care of him through all the things. And we just kind of went into this space that is actually, in retrospect, a really sacred time for me to think about. Like all the other things in life, the BS that we deal with every day, day in and day out, kind of fell away. And the importance of like literal life, a baby I'm growing, like it was really a precious time together. So my answer just at its essence was I made it through because of him and the love that we had. And I also had a commitment to take care of my body and our baby.
Right.
It was so early on when he was diagnosed that there was a part of me that was giving all my time to him and not to myself. That morning sickness, like, who cares? Like it fades to the background, that like the big intensity of my morning sickness completely dissolved, right? Like the priorities just shift. And I, step by step, was making it forward and through for him, then for us and our little family.
Oh my God. So now you're here. You have this information. They're telling you, this is terminal. Like,
Yeah.
what was the biggest thing that you noticed right away of like,
Yeah.
oh my God, why is no one talking about this? You know that moment where
Yes.
you're like looking around, you probably had like many of them. But what was the
Yes.
first one that you were like, am I alone? Like, is anyone else hearing what I'm hearing right now?
Yes. I mean, so interesting. Such a good question, Melissa, because this is a long time ago. So the internet was not what it is today.
I know.
I didn't have a lot of information. I can look right now at the books that I was like pacing through to try to figure out something like, is Andrew Weil and integrative like medicine? Like that's all that was really available. I read the book Choices in Healing by Michael Lerner, who started Commonweal in the Bay Area. Like there wasn't a lot. And so I started seeing like, where are there physiological connections that I could propose to Isamu that we try. Isamu was my late husband. So, making connections between sugar and the immune system, and in particular, cell growth, and what are the fastest growing cells in the body, the cancerous cells. So, do we want to manage blood sugar or at least eliminate sugar? I didn't have the language for it. I did not know then what I know now.
I know.
Did not, but I was able to see some physiological connections, propose it to him. Do you want to try doing, eliminating meat from our diet, but keeping fish because of the brain and the omega-3s? Do we want to try to eliminate refined sugar and he was willing to do anything. This was life and death. And it was also, he was about to be a father. It was something he wanted so badly. He was so excited and so proud to be a father. So he was willing to, if he saw the research and understood the why, take on anything. So to answer your question, I think at the time, I could really quickly see, and didn't have the language for it, that we weren't thinking in a bio-individual way. We weren't thinking this individual is different than that individual who has the same diagnosis. We weren't seeing that. And we also weren't able to recognize that other factors make a difference, that dietary and lifestyle factors actually influence outcomes. So that understanding was not available.
Right. And now, like, we know so much more now about the connection between just the brain and gut health,
Yes.
and we didn't have that in 2000. Like, it just seems like a lifetime ago. And do they feel that the changes that you made and the things that you were doing is what extended that gap between a diagnosis of like, oh, you have about 6 months to live to him living to, what did you say, 2.5 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to believe so. We never know, right? We
Yeah.
will never know for
Yeah.
sure what makes a difference in outcomes. But I think the attempts and the embrace and the fact that we did it with joy and love are also pieces of the equation. It wasn't just eliminating meat, which, that's particular for a situation. I don't want to say I'm for eliminating meat, right? Like that
Right.
was for that particular situation, and eliminating sugar and embracing different or lower glycemic sugars. But also, he was meditating and doing qigong, and we were going to yoga together, and like we were taking walks and enjoying our food. I was really making great food for us while we were making changes, and learning to bake because he had a sweet tooth. So I think it's like yes, all of that made life like really rich, even while we were navigating surgeries,
Yeah.
radiation, chemotherapy, medications. Like we were just in this, journey together.
Right. What did you do? I'm really curious. Like, what did you do to make sure that he wasn't just a number or a brain tumor patient?
Yeah.
How did you advocate for him through this process? Because I'm sure we have a lot of listeners right now going, I might not be dealing with that, but I'm dealing with something very similar, and I have to advocate for myself or for my spouse or my child. What did you do, Andrea? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Number one, that's such a really brilliant question, because I think when we are in the medical system, right? Like when we are catapulted there for some reason, we feel like we have no control.
yes.
And that was actually Isamu's biggest pain point when he did do some EMDR therapy to find like the moment, that was the big trigger for him. It was when they put a port in his arm to do a CT scan. And when they were done, he said, "Are you going to take that out?" And they were like, "Nope. We're going to leave that in now," because it gave them easy access. And he felt, oh, now I'm their property, right? Like they have access to me, to my blood, to my veins, to anything they need. And so I think it's recognizing those moments, but also realizing where we do have some agency. So one of the first things we did was choose our oncologist. We were at UCSF, so UC San Francisco, one of the top brain tumor. We were fortunate enough to be living in the Bay Area, one of the top brain tumor centers in the country. And there were at the time 3 neuro-oncologists, and he was assigned to one, and she didn't resonate with him because every time we walked in the room, she greeted him with pity. And he didn't like to be greeted with pity. That was really the antithesis of his personality. And so we went through this, like, what do we do? That feels bad on top of everything. And we were encouraged, you get a choice, change. If you are working with a doctor that doesn't resonate with your beliefs and the way you're working, and you do have a choice, we don't always have a choice. But if you do have a choice and you feel like in some way you're not being seen, heard, or you're being gaslit in some way for your experience, then you get to ask, is there another option for me here? And show up and say, this didn't work for me. I'm looking for this kind of relationship. Ultimately, we worked with a neuro-oncologist that he had a really great relationship with. And that doctor also allowed for all the other things. He knew this is a young man at the time. Young people didn't get that tumor as much. That's changed now, 20 years later. There are younger people. So it was an older person's disease at the time. So that made Isamu stand out anyway, and was about to be a father here with his, pregnant wife. So he did get attention, and they were really behind him and kind of gunning for his success.
Yeah.
But we could say our diet changed. We were taking these supplements. He was doing acupuncture and would sometimes have cupping marks all over his back. And they'd just be like, what are these? There was like a lot of allowance for us doing everything. And we knew we didn't have to ask for permission from the doctor to do the other things that were between our doctor's visits. So that's another thing I want to say to all the listeners. And this is one of the gaps that exists in healthcare. We think our doctor is an expert in everything. They're not. They're an expert in medicine and medical intervention. They don't know about nutrition. They don't know about lifestyle changes. You're not asking them which toilet paper to use, which laundry detergent, which toothpaste. But a lot of people say, my doctor said I can't, like diet doesn't matter, or that I can't do X, Y, and Z. You've got a lot of time to take care of you between your doctor's visits, and there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because we do have a choice. And I think that needs to be reminded over and over and over again that like you are in control.
Yes.
And these are, doctors and the tools, they're all just like these tools that go into our toolbox to help us live our best life.
Yes. Yes. And there's so many things, and we can get overwhelmed these days with the so many things because there's so much more noise coming at us, but really coming down to the essence of what do I feel helps me in this situation, and who is supporting me to make the changes that I believe are going to health outcomes, not a quick fix, not a little promise, not a magic bullet, but the bigger changes that can actually make a difference in health outcomes.
Yeah. What are you seeing right now in like the state of chronic illness in this country?
Oh my goodness.
You have like, you are in it. You are seeing it. You are feeling it. You have lived it.
Yes.
Do we need to be worried? Are you worried?
There is definitely an increase in chronic health issues. I want to be clear that like there are different places for chronic health issues to be held and managed. So I do think there's a difference between population health and personalized chronic health issues. And I think when we're thinking about chronic health issues, it does become very personalized. We do need to make sure there's a more individualized approach.
Yeah.
No two people with MS or Hashimoto's or Crohn's or Lyme disease or mold exposure or histamine intolerance or cancer or metabolic disorder. No two people are the same. There might be some overarching things that can be done for those conditions that are similar, but we do need that individualized support. And what we're seeing is that chronic health challenges are on the rise, ironically, at the same time that there's more information available to us. So clearly there's a mismatch, and the overwhelm of information isn't addressing the issues enough to get to resolution because we're continuing to see them both increase at the same rate.
Right. Yeah. What's that tell you right there,
Yes.
Hey, Bomb Life fam, I have a question for you. Are you the kind of person who crushes it at work, shows up for your family, checks off every to-do list, but when it comes to your fitness, your energy, and your confidence, it feels like something's missing? You might be doing the workouts, listening to all the right podcasts. I mean, you are listening to this one. But deep down, you're just kind of going through the motions and you're done playing small in this area of life. That's exactly why I created Fit Mind Coaching, my private one-on-one program for high-achieving women and men who are ready to level up. This isn't just another fitness plan. This is about building the body and the mindset to match the life you're working so damn hard for. Because success in business means nothing if you're hiding in hoodies, avoiding mirrors, or dragging through your day with zero energy, or showing up on Zoom meetings feeling good from the chest up, but praying no one ever sees what's going on below the screen. We're talking about fat loss, muscle building, and real confidence that bleeds into every area of your life, your boardroom, your bedroom, and your parenting. You want it all? Good. You should have it all. Let's go. Click the link in the show notes and book your free call with me today. Let's build the strongest, most confident version of you inside and out. You're ready for more, and I'm ready to show you how. Back to the show. Do you have any insight on like what we're seeing the most, the rise in, and like, do you know statistically what we're seeing an increase in?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing a big increase in immune issues, particularly autoimmunity, but also allergies, eczema, children with more issues that are immune related. We can tie that back to gut health, we're seeing a lot express itself in different ways, even if we're looking at contested illnesses like mold or Lyme that are also on the increase. Yes, there's the exposure, the mold exposure or the tick bite, but the body has less tolerance for these things. And so I think we are dealing with more and more compromised ecosystems that are more susceptible to these chronic conditions.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say that the people are over testing in functional medicine. Tell me about this.
Yes, I do. I can get on a bit of a soapbox.
That's
Not
okay,
that I
because
haven't been on one.
I'm really curious about this of like
Yes.
over testing, because I think there's a lot of like over diagnosing happening in a lot of
Yes.
things too, especially with like kids and ADHD and like
Yes.
things like that. I'm curious about this over testing that you're
Yeah,
seeing.
and there's a great relationship between the overdiagnosing and the overtesting because we want a name and a label for
Yeah.
something that tells us what the protocol is, because that's how our system works. That's how the medical system works. And I just want to be clear that when I talk about the medical system, I'm not disparaging it. I'm saying it does something really well. It's brilliant at acute care, and it's missing the mark a lot of the times on chronic health challenges and the multifactorial approach we need to address those. So when we're overdiagnosing, we're looking for the label that tells us what the protocol is. And a lot of times, again, when it comes to things like mold or ADHD, or, even there's so many things that we can look at that aren't actually a diagnosis, MTHFR, polymorph, like people diagnose themselves with these things that aren't diagnoses because then they think that there is a protocol. So we have to recognize what's a diagnosis and what might be downstream, upstream, what's a contributing factor.
Okay.
So that's one thing with the diagnosing. And then I think the testing does the same thing. So I am a fan of baseline serum labs that give us a gross picture and doing the work that we can do with dietary and lifestyle factors to see what signs and symptoms shift before we go chasing more information in expensive tests that are going to tell us what we already know and then leave an individual with some notion of a diagnosis that isn't a diagnostic factor. So I'm low on bifidobacteria, so I can't, or my hormones do this, so I need, right? And I'm not saying any of those tests are bad or wrong. I am going to say a lot of them aren't fully validated. So we do have to be aware of that. And that for the most part, a lot of these functional tests or at-home tests are clues at best when in the right hands, when they're put in the hands of the wrong provider who doesn't understand them, or the patient, we start diagnosing ourselves with things that are just underlying factors that could be addressed more broadly. We fixate on that. We look for the protocol for that. And that's not the way through.
Right. Well, and meanwhile, you give someone a diagnosis and then they're like, they identify with that.
Correct.
And they're like, this is what I have. So this is how I behave. And this is what my body does. And
Exactly.
oh my God, it drives me crazy. People in my life and very close personal life, they're like, oh no, I can't because this is the way it is. And there's no help for me. And I just have to have pain. And that's the way I'm at. And I'm like, you have literally identified and like your whole being is now what you were told you have.
Yes.
Your mind is closed and that is the path that you're on. And that is forever how your body's going to react and respond to.
Yes. Yes, and we see it a lot with microbial testing, with hormone testing, and with genomic testing. Those are like the popular ones. And again, I'm not saying that any one of those are wrong or bad. They just need to be used at the right time and in the right way for clinical support. But in the wrong hands, they lead to a lot of the wrong interventions and the wrong assumptions. So my issue with a lot of those tests, and there's companies now who are like distributing all of them at once. You do, a subscription and you get all these tests and nobody knows what to do with those and all that information. And I can tell you, if you're not pooping and you're not sleeping, I don't need a microbial test to tell me that there's a disruption in your microbiome. We work on feeding your microbiome, and there's easy ways to do that. We see what shifts with your symptoms if we need more information, we know where to go. But
Right.
people are doing it too early in the process, and it's leading to that over-identification with something that isn't a diagnosis, and there isn't a protocol for it.
I know I'm like laughing to myself right now because I can relate like in the field of like what I do. And I don't need like a fancy test to tell me that someone's hormones are off when they're 5'6", they weigh 215 pounds
Correct.
and they have a stagnant life.
Yes.
They work at a desk.
Yes.
They eat a lot of fast food. They like the other information is great and you should go to your doctor and get things, whatever looked at. But, like,
Baseline.
baseline. But I
We
don't
need the
to know that.
gross information first, right?
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
how about we start walking? How about we
Yes.
start paying attention to what food is going into your body as fuel?
Yes.
And let's see what changes happen from that first.
Exactly. Let's save the money, spend it on your services with me, right? Like, so, I train at Functional Nutrition Alliance, I'm training thousands of practitioners. And
Oh my God, I love
there
that.
is a desire for more testing because they think it validates what they have to say. And the other thing I hear is that, but my patients want that, or my clients want that. They want to see the information. And that's where I just feel like just look at different set of information. We also need to identify the qualitative information, which is what you're talking about. How do I feel? What's happening with my, brain fuzziness, my fatigue level? We have to remember the qualitative information, not just the quantitative information. And one thing that's really important to me to position is that a lot of the testing and tools and trackers and wearables that are out there, and I'm wearing my Oura Ring, but a lot of them are tools of optimization. And we have to make sure that we're not using the tools of optimization for stabilization. So,
Ooh.
right?
Write that down.
So when we're not feeling well, or we're not at the place where we're fine tuning the dial, like, the 28-year-old gym bro who's like just trying to be a little better, when we're looking for longevity or we're looking to feel better, we have to make sure that we're starting at the place where we can stabilize, because we are not at the stage of optimizing.
Yeah. How do you feel like mindset plays a role into all of this and want
Yeah.
and intention? Like, I'm really curious of your thoughts on all of that and how that's played into this and what you're seeing too. And I don't know. I have so many questions about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And I always say, like, I'm not a mindset coach, but the way that we are tapped into what motivates us, where
Yes.
we feel connection, where we feel meaning, why we're doing what we're doing. Like, for me, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. So I have a lot of frameworks that I teach into. And when it comes to chronic illness, I call it 3 roots, many branches. And I'm going to bring us back to mindset.
Okay.
So 3 roots, many branches. So if we have chronic health challenges, meaning I'm sick and I'm not getting better, whatever it is, brain fog, belly fat, it's just not going away. I'm doing all the things, right? That's what we hear a lot. That's a branch. So the expression of whatever we're feeling, the sign, the symptom, the diagnosis, that's a branch on our tree. We don't want to address it at the branch level alone. Somebody is in medicine addressing the branch. But from a functional perspective, we want to come down through the trunk, down to the roots, and more so into the soil. So with any chronic condition, the 3 roots that I'm always addressing and teaching people to address are the genes, digestion, and inflammation. Always. Not one of them. It's not one root. It's 3 roots. Genes, digestion, inflammation. Our genes are what we get, but their expression is influenced by how we live. So it's like getting a deck of, you dealt a hand of cards in a game of poker. How you play that game of poker is going to be different for everybody who gets that hand, right? So our genes are dealt, but the way they express themselves is how we play. Those are called epigenetic factors. The epigenetic factors are our food, our movement, our environment, and our mindset. All of those things influence the expression of our genes. So that mindset of the person who's fixated on, I have this is me, this is wrong, this is never going to get better, I can't lose weight because I've got A, or whatever the story is, that's part of the mindset. But we also need to then be able to work through, where is that? Why is that? What is motivating you? Why do you want this? What is this about for you? What makes you happy? What feels like thriving? When did you feel best in your body? Really being able to get into a person's full story helps us to pull out where it's not just you don't have a good mindset,
Right.
but what is their good mindset?
Yes. Tell me about the other branches.
Yes. So the branches are the signs, symptoms, and diagnosis. The roots are genes, digestion, and inflammation. The soil for the genes is food, movement, environment, and mindset. The soil that nourishes digestion is the mechanical, the chemical, the structural, the microbial. If we're talking about food without talking about digestion, it's not functional.
No.
So we got to talk about where the food is going in this tube so that you can use it. So when we talk about diets like keto or intermittent fasting even, or high protein diets, like those are meant to say, oh, here in theory, this diet helps with this outcome. But that's not the case if your digestion isn't primed to be able to receive those macronutrients and do what it needs to do. So digestion is a root because it's where we can utilize food as medicine in air quotes, right? So genes, digestion, and then inflammation. Inflammation, as we know, is a root of all chronic health conditions, especially, what we think of as like the four that lead to more chronic health issues: cancer, metabolic disease, neurodegeneration, all of heart disease, the things that are going to really lead to more trouble in life, especially as we age. Inflammation is a part of all of those. So the soil, meaning the ways we address inflammation, are clear, calm, enhance, and modulate. And when we say clear, it might be that there's an inflammatory mindset. It might be that there's an inflammatory microbe. It might be that there's an inflammatory environmental factor. It might be that there's an inflammatory food. We have to take some time to sit in that discovery of what needs to be cleared. Ultimately, my entire system needs to be calmed in order for me to heal. I cannot heal in a fight or flight state.
No, ma'am. No. How do you work with people? How can people get in touch with you and work with you? Tell me a little bit about that and what Functional Nutrition Alliance does and how that all plays out.
Well, primarily we teach coaches and clinicians in this methodology really how to work with an individual. We have, everybody from like doctors and nurses and dietitians and health coaches and OTs, PTs, massage therapists, fitness professionals, to people who are, really have found health for themselves. They're passionate about it and want to see how to bring that message forward. So I've trained now nearly 9,000 practitioners in over 68 countries. So it's, it's a big, robust training and really life-changing for folks. So that's my passion in the teaching of providers. We do have a virtual clinic at the Functional Nutrition Alliance. And then in my personal work at Andrea Nakayama, which will lead you back to the Functional Nutrition Alliance, I'm speaking more about the intersection of functional medicine and narrative medicine, which helps us pull at what you were talking about a bit with like mindset in a reduced way, in which like our narrative and the story we tell and the threads we can pull that help us understand ourselves better are, to me, a part of the healing journey that is missing in our healthcare discussions. We talk a lot about what's going on and what to do about it, but we forget to talk about who am I that got me here.
Right. Yes, such a good point. because that person is strong. I always say it's like we have our person A and our person B, and the person B is who we strive to be.
Correct.
And that person A, who we have been for a long time, we can't ignore them.
No.
They are strong. They are familiar to our brain. They are there to put up a fight if we try to kick them out and change things.
Hello, amygdala.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, Andrea, this has just been amazing. I'm so glad that we're on here having this conversation, because I know there'll be people listening that are going, oh my God, I needed to hear that. I need to fight for myself. I need to look at my roots. I had said before, I'm like, what are the branches? I meant roots.
Yes. Yeah.
You got it. You knew what I was saying. But people need to hear that and to be reminded of, you're not a lost cause.
No.
There is help and hope out there.
Absolutely.
And I think every time we have just a brilliant guest like you on the show and people hear that, they get a reminder of that message and then they take action. So
well, thank you for hosting the conversation so people can hear that. And I just want to say, I have a non-negotiable trifecta, and I'm going to share that just because it's easier than we think. So I talked about the branches are the signs, symptoms, and diagnosis. And that's something everybody can take away. Like, if I have a sign, a symptom, or a diagnosis, it's a branch. It's not where I need to focus my attention. Come down to the roots and to the soil. But where we can start is with the non-negotiable trifecta. That's sleep, poop, and blood sugar balance. Now, none of those are a command and none of those are easy. But if you have an issue with your sleep, or you're staying up too late, or you're waking up fatigued, that's where each individual can say, hey, I need help. Hey, Melissa, I need help with my sleep. Let's work on my sleep, instead of saying, let's work on my endometriosis or my Hashimoto's or my belly fat or my brain fog. Let's work on my sleep. And I guarantee you that sleep impacts your hormones. It impacts your detoxification. It impacts your gut microbiome. It impacts your inflammation. When you pick an area like that to work on and not start looking for the supplements to help you, but look at the patterns and talk with somebody about it, you are going to have those downstream impacts that are really significant. And each of those three in my non-negotiable trifecta will give you more of the results that you're looking for. And then you have a whole bunch of different things that you are looking for help with because you've narrowed it down.
I think so too. It's so crazy you said poop was one of them, because I'm surrounded by teenage girls all the time. And I can't believe how many of them say that they don't poop every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, because girls, and they're all chatting, they talk about everything. And I'm like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
This is a thing now. And they're like, I haven't pooped in 4 days. What? Where is your mother? Does she know this?
Yes. And that's going to long-term cause more and more challenges. And so the sooner we hear them say it, the more we can get involved and ensure, is there hydration? What kind of fiber? How are we feeding the microbiome? And we can do that easily. It doesn't have to be all these promised things on Instagram, like hydrate, sleep, eat some fiber through your fruits and vegetables.
Right. No, they're all living off of chips and pizza and icy pop things. And I'm like, no, go eat an apple. When was the last time you've had an apple?
Yes.
Oh, girl, this has been great. This has been amazing. And all the moms are listening, and they're all going to go ask their kids now, when's the last time you pooped? It's one of the three non-negotiables.
It's one of the three non-negotiables.
Girl, where can everyone find you? How can we follow you? How can we find you? Give it to us all. We'll put it in the show notes too.
Thank you. Andrea Nakayama on all the places. So AndreaNakayama.com, on Instagram.
Oh, good.
Soon to be Twitter. Not there right now, but should be LinkedIn. So Andrea Nakayama, that will lead you back to the Functional Nutrition Alliance, but it's easier to find. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll put everything in the show notes. Any idea when your book will come out?
Oh my gosh. Just spoke to my publisher today. It's a little bit. Maybe 2026.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Well, you keep us updated.
I will.
Because when that comes out, I'd love to have you back on.
I'd love it. Thank you so much.
You'll have even more to share.
Yes.
Oh, you guys, thank you again for coming on. Make sure you follow her, listen, take all the knowledge in. It's just more tools in your toolbox, right?
1,000%.
Thank you again. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy. Until next time. The Bomb Life podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The content shared here is not intended as medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making any health, fitness, financial, or legal decisions. The opinions shared on this podcast are personal experiences and insight. So if you need expert guidance, go find the right professional for you. Thanks for listening.
We're shipping Father's Day gifts with a rapid-fire round of questions. Ready?
Yes, my gift. Can you pack it?
Yep.
Ship it.
Yes.
Guarantee it.
Of course.
Oh, send a set of golf clubs.
Oh, hole-in-one.
Protect electronics. Dog-proof it. Return it if they hate it.
Yes, no, and yeah.
Are you the UPS store?
Hey, we have a winner!
Visit theupsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Visit a store today.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.